We're not live, by the way.
Okay.
We
Just so I'm about to start taking tablets.
No, we're not live. I'm just I have like a little stream starting soon going on right now.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Watch this now. Crimepedia Christmas special. Does that mean it's not exclusive?
Oh my goodness. It's us. And we're
It
live.
is. We are very live.
And I'm still sick.
You are still sick. Like, I haven't caught it. Like, everyone I know is either sick or has been sick. And luckily, I've got super immune system and haven't caught any of it yet. I still haven't had COVID.
No, you're lucky.
I'm really lucky. Yeah, really lucky.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to
Your
our
voice is so funny.
very, very special Christmas edition of Crimepedia. We're doing this live for you on YouTube.
Woo!
Or we did it live on YouTube and now you're watching the
You're
replay.
catching up. Yeah. We've got a case for you today, which is an unsolved case. It was going to be a solved one, but then I changed my mind. So it's actually an unsolved case, but I'm going to give you a list of potential suspects, and I'm going to be very interested to see who you think is the perpetrator.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, so today, let me just tell you something quickly. Yeah. Today, my daughter and I played the Sherlock Holmes game. I put it on my Instagram story. We played this Sherlock Holmes game, and it's absolutely brilliant. If you get the chance to get it, it's called 221B Baker Street. Get it. I think in England you can get it in WH Smith or somewhere like that. But it has 75 different cases. So and each case takes about an hour and a half to do. So it's like really good value for money. I think I paid like 14 quid for it. And you are given sets of clues from different areas on the board that you go in, but the clues are quite, you have to, they are just that, just clues. You have to like add words together. You have to take the meaning of certain things. It's not easy. It's a really clever game. And it took us, I think we played like 5 cases today, like all afternoon it took us. It was so much fun. So I don't know if you can get that in America, but I think you'd really like it.
No, you can't. I have seen it. I've seen it before.
It's really good.
I haven't really heard anything about it, so that's definitely something that would be really interesting to check out.
It's a lot more like in depth than Clue. It's not like Cluedo. It's a lot more in depth than that. You're actually given like anagrams. You're given like phrases. Like for instance, one of them was I don't know, I've forgotten. One of them, it was like a well-known English phrase, but only if you're probably in your 50s, because we had to Google it. And then I was like, oh, I see. And like stupid things like the opposite of, it was hero, a hero without the naught. And we were like, hero without naught. And it was hero without zero, because zero is naught without the O, because O is also a zero. So hero without the O is her.
Oh.
Yeah. So it ended up telling you that it was a her. It's just really clever, like cleverly done. You have to kind of think a bit differently to get the clues together, but it's really good fun.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So if you get the chance to play it, because it's I just want to say I could bring it with me when you come over, but the problem is I think it takes a good couple of hours, and I think it would end up getting alcohol spilt on it or something. That would be really sad.
Let me quickly say hello to Sherilyn, who joined us, and Amanda. Hello, Amanda. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us. I can't actually see who's joining us. So Morgan's going to keep an eye on that because I've got all the details of the case up on my screen, so I can't see you. But hello if you're here. Welcome. Good evening if you're in the UK. Was it evening there? Yes, early evening, isn't it?
Early evening here.
Good evening. We've got
PM.
Tea and biscuits.
I don't have biscuits.
I did have biscuits. I don't have biscuits anymore.
You didn't tell me about biscuits. I have the tea.
The biscuits have gone, but we both have tea. Oh, I might be able to see who's there actually. Let me just see.
I need the tea.
You do need the tea. Tea is one of those things like a dressing gown. It's one of those things that you always get. If you're happy, have a cup of tea. If you're sad, have a cup of tea. If you're cold, have a cup of tea. Yes, one of those. Right, let me see if I can actually see people talking. Hey, I can.
I still haven't finished. I told you about the game that my daughter got. So
yeah.
Reminder, she's 9 years old. She's already told me she wants to be a detective when she grows up.
She'll change her mind when she sees how much they get paid.
Kind of for real. But she got a game. She wanted this game, and she got it. And it was called like Unsolved Case Files. And so that each packet is a different unsolved case. They make up, and the one she got was like a case of some like high school girl who had fallen out of a school window and died, and so you have to figure out like if it was an accident, if she was suicide, if someone had pushed her out.
No way.
And so all you have is like you have like the police reports, you have like the investigators' notes, and then you have like these headshots of all these potential suspects or witnesses and their witness statements, and that's all you have. And you have to figure out like based off of all this information you have to figure out what happened to her. And holy hell,
it's not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
No.
That's good though, because I like games like that. We've got one. What was it called? Hang on. Like Antarctic something or other. And they send you like this is you have literally all this evidence folder, and it's full of all the evidence. So there's there's DNA reports, there's medical reports, there's certain, and you have to like, it's set up so that there's certain things you have to check Facebook, and like the perpetrator will have like a Facebook page, and you go there and it's like obviously a fake Facebook page, but it's got all the information that you need to do. It's very clever, really clever. I like that. Yeah, I love games like that.
So I have that, and I have that one that you'd like, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. You would like.
Yes, I love that. Amanda says she's got tea, a notebook, a pen, and paper. I love that. Ready to go.
She's
ready to go. Well, hopefully it'll be a good case and you'll enjoy it.
Or it could be complete crap and you'll hate it and you'll never
possibly
ever again.
You will. You'll have to come back and see. Oh, maybe I won't tell you who I think did it, and then you have to come back. Well, it's unsolved. It's a real case. It's unsolved. So possibly you might not know anyway. Right. Do you want to get going, or is there anything you... how was your Christmas? Let me just ask that.
Besides being sick, it was good.
It was good. Did you get any super cool presents?
Super cool presents.
We're both in our PJs, by the way, as well. We put our PJs on tonight for this.
It's Christmas PJ.
Christmas PJs.
I don't know. I got a lot of good presents that I liked. I don't think there was one that was like super cool. Like, oh, I can't believe I got this. But I liked everything I got. Even I
got some really good presents actually. Some really, really thoughtful presents, which was lovely. I love that bit. You know, the bit where everyone sits down. That's the whole thing about Christmas for me is like everyone gets together. It's not very often like everyone's together because everyone's so busy and working and stuff. It's nice that you make time to see people and to spend time together and do stuff, which is good. The only thing we didn't do this year is we didn't make gingerbread, which we usually do every year. We just didn't have time this year. And I didn't make pickled onions this year either because I ran out of time.
We did gingerbread muffins this year, which actually were really good.
Nice. I love gingerbread.
And so I was like, oh, these are pretty good. And like, but I felt like there was something missing. So we did, so I was like, you know what? We need some like, what is it? Buttermilk frosting. Which was, good. Ooh. Just took it up. Hello, Jocelyn. Hello, Samantha. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We see you.
Nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, it's so nice to be able to join in and give me all your... Well, Morgan's going to keep an eye on that, but I'll keep an eye as well. I'll try and keep an eye. Morgan's going to keep an eye on all your comments, so he can chuck all your comments at me as we go, and all your thoughts as we go along.
You got your big fluffy pajamas.
I know. Yeah, this is absolutely huge. I got what else did I get? I got some nice clothes. I got a shower speaker because my husband is sick of me putting my phone on really loud when I'm in the shower so I can hear podcasts. I put it on really loud and then put it by the door so I can listen while I'm in the shower, because otherwise it's like 15 minutes of doing nothing but washing. So you might as well listen to a podcast. So he bought me a shower speaker, which is really cool. So now I can listen to podcasts whilst I'm in the shower and the whole family doesn't hear what's going on, which is good.
What podcast would you listen to in the shower?
I listen to loads of podcasts. I listen to Dateline podcasts. Huh?
Do you listen to Brandon in the shower?
Oh, hell yeah.
I know you did.
I love Brandon in the shower.
I know. I know you.
Oh, bless him. I know. I listen to Brandon's podcast every episode every time it comes out. As soon as it comes out, I listen to it. I love it. It's brilliant.
I don't listen to podcasts.
Oh my God, I listen to loads. I listen to loads of them. Obviously, Santa, maybe I'm caught up on that one. If you haven't caught up on that one, definitely do, because it's fun and it's going to get even better. There's some great storylines coming up in that. It's really nice, though, isn't it, to be part of a podcast that's a bit of fun. It's really fun to do, like, because the ones that we do are quite serious most of the time. So it's really always fun to be part of a fun podcast, which I love. I love it. And the fact that my character's winning the heart of Richie. I love that too.
Your character's easy to do, though. You have such an easy character.
I'll just be me. I just talk.
Yeah.
A bit posh. Just try and posh up my voice a bit.
Where I have to go like, okay, so what's my motivation here?
You're such an actor.
What's my motivation?
My motivation in the story is to snog Richie's face off all the time.
And
that's what she's been doing a lot of.
I am kind of sad that no one has said, "Oh my God, I heard you and you're blah 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 character."
Well, it isn't really a surprise, is it? You don't sound like you.
I do not sound like me.
You don't sound like... I knew it was you, but I can tell because I talk to you a lot, and I can tell certain words that you say are similar to certain words that he says.
Of course. Of course.
Right. Would you like to get on with this episode?
Not yet. Hey, so everyone that's watching right now.
Okay.
Anyone get anything super cool for Christmas?
Oh, yes. Tell us what your Christmas presents were. I want to know what your Christmas presents were. Let me see. Let me get the comments up. Oh, Amanda made mince pies. Oh, Double J Moto has whiskey. I like that. That's good.
Whiskey back there.
Maybe you should drink more whiskey. Maybe that'll make you feel better. It burns your throat, though, doesn't it, whiskey?
No, I think it'd be good. I can go with the Tullamore.
It would be good for you.
Or I got Jameson up there. I don't know.
Is that like your drink of choice, whiskey?
No, it's not.
No. What do you drink then? I can't remember from Crime Gone. Did you drink vodka or gin?
Gin? Who drinks gin?
Not me. I don't like gin.
No, you know what? I can.
Oh, Samantha got her first set of golf clubs.
Look at that. Hey.
That's pretty cool. I think I'm too excitable to play golf. I think they'd chuck me off.
Okay, if I was gonna have liquor, yeah, I think whiskey would be my drink of choice. But usually I'll go with beer. Just I'm just a beer guy. But then if I'm going with the liquor, I'm going whiskey.
So that is your drink then?
I guess, but I don't drink whiskey often. I don't drink often.
No.
And plus, here's the thing: if I went and I said, "Oh, tequila is my drink of choice," then everyone that sees this is gonna start like, "Oh, here I got your shot of tequila."
I do like tequila. I quite like the taste of tequila.
Oh no!
I tell you what else I like the taste of that people always screw their nose up at: Black Sambuca.
Black Sambuca? I don't even know.
I like the taste of Black Sambuca. It's a shot that we drink over here. It's like kind of aniseedy. It's a bit like cough medicine. Like when I was growing up.
Get the fuck out of here.
It tastes like cough medicine. It's really nice. Well, yeah, but it gets you drunk quite bad.
Like Jaeger?
Yeah, a bit like Jaeger, but like more burny. It kind of burns your throat a bit more. But out of the choice of shots, I would go for Sambuca over something like apple sours. Oh, here we go. Look, here we go. Amanda got books. I got books too. I love books. I got books. A vinyl album. Ooh, some gin and some bits and pieces. That's really
good.
Amanda, I played my first song with a band at a show on Friday. How cool is that?
Exciting.
Your first. That's really cool. Congratulations. I'd love to hear that. I took some lessons this year using my sister-in-law's clubs. So Nick just decided I needed my own. Oh, that's so lovely. Bless him. Good old Nick. Amanda just said, Double J, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I can't drink whiskey. It burns my throat. I can't do it. But I like the smell of it. It smells nice.
Well, you don't drink liquor that often anyways.
No, I don't really. I don't drink really at all. I don't like beer. I don't like lager. I like cider, but only the girly fruit cider. I don't like proper cider, which is bizarre seeing where I come from.
I did have a good cider in England.
Did you? Which one did you have?
Thatcher's Gold.
Thatcher's Gold. I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, Thatcher's is a nice one.
Miss it.
Yeah, that is nice. Well, when you come over in June, we'll be able to get Thatcher's Gold going. Yeah. Have you noticed we've both got our very nice sisters bought for me from a very nice lady. He's got his Bears cup. I've got my Cowboys cup. Oh my God, how lucky was I? Cowboys win on New Year and Christmas Eve, and then Newcastle win on Boxing Day. I was so happy. Both my teams, my actual football team and my American football team, both win.
You liked Newcastle.
I have done ever since I was at school. I just love their kit, and I've liked them ever since. Then I fell in love with the goalkeeper. Legitimate reasons for supporting a football team, and I loved him all through my teens.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I was watching, my husband literally watched football all weekend, all through the thingy, and then he was on commentating, and I said to my husband, I recognize that voice, and he was like, yeah, it's Shay Given. I was like, my high school, well, no, college development tutor actually was from Newcastle, and she went to home games quite a lot. And she took a photo of Shay Given for me at the match and got it blown up and put into a frame, which I still have to this day. I used to love him a lot. A lot. Yeah. I used to really like him. But now he's old.
Now he's old.
A bit like me, yeah. Okay, was Santa good to your kids for Christmas this year? Actually, yes. Santa was lovely to my daughter. Very good. She's behaved though, so that was fair enough. I'm glad she got some nice things. Well, actually, see, my daughter is training to be a dermatologist, and somebody bought her a waxing kit for Christmas, so she's been waxing everybody this Christmas. Christmas has been slightly painful for this family this Christmas.
Bad news.
Waxed legs, waxed lips, she waxed her boyfriend's chin, his lips, his eyebrows. No. He was so good that he was so good. He let her wax everything. The poor boy, he's like 19, and I went into her bedroom. He's got a hairband in. He's got a face mask on his face, and he sat there, and I just looked at him and was just like, "You all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, thanks."
Poor kid.
I know. So she's had it. God knows what she painted his toenails because she said she had to practice. Painted his toenails. The poor boy. And then she was like, "Oh, I don't have any nail varnish remover." "Oh, it's fine. It's all right. We'll do it tomorrow." And he's like, "I've got work tomorrow." He's a plumber, so works in a male-dominated trade. Hopefully, he didn't have to take his shoes off the next day. So funny. She's cruel to him. Bless him. Yeah. Yeah, Samantha, waxing is expensive, though. I don't know. It's a bit worrying when it's your daughter doing the waxing. She's not be as professional as when she has a client.
That's crazy.
But no, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. She's going to do I'm going to let her do my eyebrows because I think that's the most least painful place that she can go. I know. I said no today because otherwise I'd be on here like bright red. So I said no, not until tomorrow. You can do it tomorrow.
You're gonna show up at CrimeCon with tattooed eyebrows because they're all gone.
Yeah, God knows. Well, the next, I think. Do you call it semesters? Or the next term, she's doing wax and not waxing, massage. So I'm all up for that. I'm quite happy to go and be a guinea pig for
I thought she was gonna be doing policing.
Well, no, she was until she saw how much they got paid and realised that that's quite a lot to be in a lot of danger. So she said, well, what's the point? I can get the same sort of money working in a salon, doing stuff that I really like. And there's great perks to that. And I'm not in danger. And I was like, well, I can't really argue with that, to be fair. Wait a minute. I'm just going to take this off because my cup of tea has made me a bit hot now. Oof, hang on.
Put the kids to bed. It's Sherry After Dark.
There we go.
There you go.
It's a bit hot. Now I just blend into the background nicely. Just going to be like a neck. Right. Okay. So what are you doing for New Year's? What's everyone doing for New Year's? Let's find that out.
I'm not doing a damn thing. No.
Are you going? You're not going to go anywhere? Does nothing happen over there near you?
Well, I'm going to a hockey game that like afternoon. I think it's a 1 p.m. game.
That's exciting.
So Columbus Blue Jackets versus Chicago Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I will be watching the Ohio State Buckeyes play the Georgia Bulldogs in the Peach Bowl.
That's fun. So it's a sporty New Year for you.
Yeah, the college football playoff semifinals. So, yeah, that's what I'll be doing. What about you?
I don't actually know. We're sort of debating, do we go out at 1:45 and stand by the big town clock and count down to midnight
Or
after making cocktails at home, or do we just stay at home and watch the fireworks from home? Because they have big fireworks in my town, so you can either walk to the town where the bridge is and where the clock tower is and watch it all outside, or we could watch it from home and don't have to leave. So we're not quite sure whether we're going to go. It depends what the weather's like. If it's raining, then we'll stay home. But if it's dry, we'll probably nip out.
yeah.
But other than that, nothing really.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really do much for New Year's Eve anymore.
You don't know when you're like over 19, do you?
Or when you have kids and stuff. You know, it's just not.
Usually,
fun.
everyone in my house is fast asleep. Oh, look, Nick is so mad the Buckeyes game is that day because it's the one day before legalized sports gambling.
Well, maybe it's a good thing because if he put his money down on Ohio State, he might be losing that. Just saying.
Oh, that's fighting talk.
Well,
Amanda, going to bed before midnight as I find it depressing. Oh, Amanda, that's sad. Why is it depressing? New Year. I think it's exciting. It's like a whole new year, whole new set of opportunities. Think of all the things that are going to happen. Think of like where you might be New Year's Eve next year, all the things that might have happened. Going to my brother's to celebrate Christmas with my family, probably be in bed before midnight.
Yep.
Drinking whiskey with my sister or my big beautiful dog Maisie. Oh, I like that. That's a plan. I'll curl up with my dog. That's a good idea. That's the perfect New Year's Eve double J. I like it. Drinking whiskey and with the dog. Yeah, my dog actually at the moment is flat out on the floor on a mermaid blanket, which is supposed to actually be mine. But he's stolen it and he's flat out. I think he's really excited that like everyone is home. It's a bit weird for him because we're all normally in and out, but everyone's been home for like the past 4 or 5 days. And he's loving it. He's been my little shadow. Bless him.
Well, all right, Cherry.
Okay, my love.
There was some chit chat we had that we
That is.
do.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about what case you're going to be telling us about today?
All right, then. So, the case I'm going to talk to you about today is the Hammersmith nude murders. This is a perpetrator that was nicknamed Jack the Stripper.
Nice.
I know. So, the Hammersmith nude murders is sort of the collective name for this series of murders in West London. And it was between, as you can guess, 1964 and 1965. So the victims were all prostitutes or thought to be prostitutes. They were all found undressed in or near the River Thames. Okay. And this is the reason that the perpetrator was nicknamed Jack the Stripper, because he used to unclothe his victims.
Oh, he wasn't stripping.
That he was stripping them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So there are a lot of different. Apparently, this is like one of the longest running unsolved mysteries. I had never heard of this, and I came across it completely by accident because I was researching a case of a victim called Elizabeth, for another case, which I'll do later on in the year. But see, the first victim is a lady called Elizabeth Figg. Now, the first and second victims are quite commonly not actually associated with this at all. In some news reports and some things that you'll read in the media, this Jack the Stripper only has 6 victims. But it's more widely thought that he actually did have 8. So for the purposes of that and the fact that I think I would rather include the women than not include them, I've gone for the full 8 victims because I think there's a massive similarity. And see what you think when I describe the victims to you. Okay. See what you think. So the victims that I've seen pictures of all of them. One of them is blonde. The rest of them are all dark. They're all petite. They're all 5 foot. I would say 5'4" or less. So they're all small ladies. Mm-hmm. They are all ladies that work within the entertainment industry or prostitution or sex workers, as we call them now. And they're all sort of, I wouldn't say like they have that expression, the man about town. Yeah. These girls are this is like the swinging 60s. These girls were well-known girls, party girls in and around the circuit of London. Okay.
Yep.
So the story starts on the 17th of June, 1959. 21-year-old Elizabeth Figg was found dead at 5:10 in the morning by a police officer who was on routine patrol in Duke's Meadow in Chiswick. If you want to get a map up and you want to have a look at this area, just put in Chiswick into the maps, because I know you love maps. Now, Chiswick is spelled Chiswick. So it's like Chiswick, but it's actually pronounced Chiswick. Okay.
And Samantha, this is an actual case.
Yes, Samantha, this is a real case, and it's an unsolved case. So I can't actually tell you who did it, although I think you might agree with me and see. I'm hoping you agree with me and see who you think it was.
Okay, so this is right next to Hammersmith, right?
This is,
right?
Yep, and it's right like on the north bank of the River Thames, which is where she was found. So the north of the River Thames. So the park there at Duke's Meadows had a reputation as a lover's lane. And also sex workers were known to take their clients there, because there are sort of secluded bits on the bank there that you can sort of, do that kind of stuff. Elizabeth's body was found on scrubland between somewhere called Dan Mason Drive and the river's towpath, which is about 200 yards, which is 180 meters west of Barnes Bridge. So if you want to put that in your map, Barnes Bridge, excuse me, is about 180 meters west of that. So the only picture that we have of Elizabeth Figg is one that, again, is really strange. They didn't have any pictures of her. They actually took a picture of her on the autopsy table. And that's the picture that they released to the press. She was wearing a dress which was torn at the waist and open to reveal her breasts. She had marks around her neck, which were consistent with strangulation. Elizabeth's underwear and shoes were missing. She had no identification on her, no personal possessions, nothing at all with her, which is strange. Yeah. A pathologist concluded that the death had occurred between midnight and 2 a.m. on the 17th of June. And she was found at 5:10. So she was only found about 3 hours after they believe that, it could have been only about 3 hours after she died. A post-mortem photograph of Elizabeth was distributed into the media, and her mum, it's so sad, her mum and her roommate both recognised her and went to the police with her details. So that's how we know that the first victim was Elizabeth Figg. They did a lot of extensive searches of the area, including the riverbed. This is in the 1959, so nearly 1960. The police originally thought that she had been murdered by a client in his car, and then he took her shoes off and her underwear, and then took her handbag and then pushed her out of the car into the river. And that's what they originally thought of, that he had disposed of her at Duke's Meadows. Okay. But there was a pub landlord on the opposite side of the river to where Elizabeth was found, and he said that on the night of the murder, he and his wife had seen a car's headlights right opposite, and that it was parked in that area at about 5 past midnight. Shortly after the lights were switched off, they heard a woman scream. So if you remember, the post-mortem said that they believed it was between midnight and 2 a.m. And then this guy says that he saw the lights on in the car at 5 past midnight, and then they heard a woman scream shortly after. So the pathology and him together have got it's quite similar. Their stories are quite similar. Now, Elizabeth had dark hair, very beautiful. I think she was a very pretty lady. She kind of reminds me of Jane, what's her name? She was with Marilyn Monroe, Jane Russell. She kind of have got that kind of Jane Russell look about her, really clear skin, beautiful eyebrows, shapely, lovely hair. I don't think any of these victims look like sex workers, to be honest. I think they all look very upmarket kind of, I don't know how to explain it. They kind of all look, I don't know how to explain. They all look quite classy, I think. And maybe perhaps that's what, some of them, there are some of them that have actually been notified. It's been notified that they were actually upmarket sex workers. So they weren't just general street sex workers. So on the 8th of November, 1963, the body of 22-year-old Welsh-born Gwyneth Rees was found. Now, she was found at the Barnesborough Council household refuse disposal site. Now, this was in a place called Mortlake. This is about 40 yards from the Thames towpath. So again, not far away from where the first victim was found. This is approximately a mile from Duke's Meadows. Again, very close. She had moved to London from Essex and was living with her sister. Again, she was a petite woman, dark, short hair, very clear skin, nice shapely eyebrows, looks quite classy. She had accidentally been decapitated by a shovel in which workmen had been using to level out the refuse at the site. And unfortunately, they found her. The third victim was a victim called Hannah Tailsforth. Now, see, she was 30, Hannah, and I don't think she looks 30. I think she looks a lot older than 30. But again, petite, short, dark hair. She was found on the 2nd of February, 1964. It was freezing that morning. This is the thing of note. It was absolutely freezing that morning in London. There was a man walking his dog on the footpath, and he spotted a human figure that was washed up on the bank. Initially, he thinks it's a mannequin. It's never a mannequin. We need to get a t-shirt. It's never a mannequin.
Yep.
They always say that, don't they? How often do you come across a mannequin? It's like you come across them all the time. You don't, do you? And every time you think you come across a mannequin, it's a body. So
always.
always think it might be a body. The police were called, and then the woman was pulled out from the Thames. She was a 30-year-old mother of 2. Sadly, she was also pregnant with her 3rd child. Now, similar to Elizabeth Trigg and Gwyneth Rees, she was short and slim. Police, this is bizarre, police did not see her initially as a victim of crime, despite the fact that she had been missing for over a week, was naked when she was found, and had her underwear stuffed in her mouth. But they didn't believe that this was a victim of crime. They believed that this was a suicide.
Because people put their panties in their mouth before they kill themselves.
Strange.
That's what I do.
Of course. I mean, I don't know very many suicides that have presented that way. Now, the police, based on the post-mortem review and a study of tide flows, worked out that Hannah had entered the water 24 hours previously at Duke's Meadow Park. So again, we're back to Duke's Meadow. 3 girls, 3 in the same area. But they just said it was a suicide. And it seems likely that at that time, it was quite obvious that that was what her job was. And the attitudes of police at the time was like, just another prostitute. And unfortunately, when we know that happens, because we've had that in so many cases where it's a prostitute, we won't bother doing any more with it. And basically, they didn't see the point of investigating the death at all. Sad, isn't it?
It is very sad.
I hate that.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Okay.
Which way does the river flow? I don't know if it matters or not. I'm just curious.
I'm actually not sure. I actually don't know that. Just, you might have to Google it. I'm not sure. But I mean, they use the tide times here and the flows to manage to work out where she'd entered the water and how long ago. I don't know very much.
With the 2 bodies near Duke's Meadow, there has to be like certain places that this guy likes to use, so he can get the body in.
Yeah. That's right. So I wonder if he's dumping them in the same place or whether he's dumping them in different places and they're just kind of washing up.
But
roughly the same area.
The first one was in 1959.
Yeah, Elizabeth. Yeah.
And there was nothing for 4 years until 63.
There was, until 63. The second one was 63, and then the next one was 64.
Okay.
So there's nothing. I'm glad you picked up on that, because this is exactly what I thought. There seems to be this lull between 59 and 63, but I'm wondering if that's because we don't know about another one. It seems strange. I think it seems strange that the first one's 59 and the next one's not until 63. But then I looked up offender profiles, and sometimes if Elizabeth was his very first ever victim, the very first one, he would be on an amazing high from that for quite a while and then planning on the next one. And obviously, once he's then done 2, and 2 have been relatively easy for him to do, we start to see with offenders that they tend to get lazier as time goes on, don't they, with the more multiple victims, and they tend to their high and their passion for it the span tends to get shorter, so they're only fulfilled for a shorter amount of time each time they go. And certainly in this case, this seems to be exactly what's happening. There's quite a big gap between the first one and then between the second the second and the third one, there's a year.
Yeah.
Well, not even a full year actually, because it's November and February, but there's time in between. And then the next one after that was April 1964. So it's only 2 months again.
Right.
So he starts off and there's like 3 years between. Then there's November, December, January, February, November. Yeah, December, January, February. So that's 3 months. February, March, April, 2 months. Possibly.
All right, so two things. The river flows.
Keep that in your mind.
The river flows out to the inlet in Essex, so west to east.
Mm-hmm.
That's from Amanda. Amanda also says that she thinks that the perp was either not active or not in the area. So could they have been somewhere else? And are there any other murders in other areas that could be seen as being similar to this one? And also, hello, Casey.
Hello.
From Cold
Yes,
Fall.
that's a great point actually, Amanda. That's a really good idea. Either not active or not in the area at the time. That's very interesting. When we'll think about that when we come to the actual victim, the perpetrators too. Mm-hmm. So on the 8th of April 1964, the body of Irene Lockwood from Nottinghamshire was found floating face down in the river in Chiswick, not very far from where Hannah Tailford was found. Excuse me. Now, Irene Lockwood is the only blonde victim, but she's got very dark eyebrows. So I'm thinking not a natural blonde.
Yeah.
Okay. She's got very, very blonde hair in the picture. Now, she was very petite again, only 5 foot, slim, just like all the others. Her body was discovered naked. She was sadly also pregnant at the time of her death. Oh. I know, that's the second one, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Police has established that she had been strangled and the location of the death was very similar to the other women. It's only at this point that they then decided that Hannah Tailforth had not committed suicide, and they then started to believe that a serial killer was on the loose. They linked Irene Lockwood's death with Hannah's and with Gwyneth's, but for some reason still omitted Elizabeth Figg and Gwyneth Rees from the list of victims, saying that there were only 6. So even though they linked Irene's with Hannah's and Gwyneth's, they still omitted Gwyneth off of the list. I don't know why, because they were both found, partially closed, both in the same area as all the other girls. So I don't know why they've not put, unless there's something that they're not telling us, which is quite possible. The press now were onto this because obviously we've got multiple women turning up in the same area of London. They made these sensational headlines. I've read some of them, and basically scaremongering the public. They dubbed the murderer Jack the Stripper because of the women being found naked, and obviously as a comparison to the Jack the Ripper murders of 1888. So victim 5 was Helen Barthélemy. Now, this was within 3 weeks of Irene Lockwood being found dead. Okay. Jack the Stripper struck again, this time completely changed location. Completely. The next victim was left in an alleyway at the rear of 199 Boston Manor Road in Brentford in Essex. She was discovered on the morning of the 24th of April, 1964. She was 22 years old and she was born in East Lothian. The weird thing with this one, again, petite, dark hair, clear skin, really good eyebrows. Helen's front teeth were missing, which wasn't, the other ladies didn't have this issue, but her front teeth were missing. Her death gave investigators their first solid piece of evidence in this case. She presented flecks of paint on her body, and this paint was used in car manufacturing. Police felt that this paint had probably come from the killer's workplace. So therefore, then started focusing on businesses nearby that had anything to do with paint or making paint or that kind of thing. Okay. So now we've got five victims.
You said it was in Brentford?
Brentford, yeah. Oh, did I say Brentwood in Essex? Sorry, Brentford. Yeah, Brentford.
So still
not Brentwood in Essex.
2 miles away or close to that. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, Brentford, not Brentwood. I'm thinking Brentwood in Essex. It's Brentford, which is in London.
And you said there was paint flecks.
Paint flecks. So these are apparently car manufacturing paint flecks. So it's car paint.
Is I don't know what were these areas like in the 60s. Is would these type of shops, auto shops, be common in Brentford or Chiswick?
Well, I wouldn't say common, but there are paint shops.
Okay.
I'm just replying to Amanda. Brentford, not Brentwood. So I'm thinking Brentwood, Essex. Sorry, that's because I've got friends that live there. So I automatically think Brentwood. I have written Brentford. Yes. So we've now got 5 victims. The only solid piece of evidence we've got is these paint flecks. That's on one of the victims
Okay.
that we know of so far. So the next victim was victim number 6. And this was Mary Fleming. Now, she was a Scottish born woman. She was found dead on the 14th of July, 1964. So Helen Bartholomew, the last one, was found 24th of April, 1964. Mary was found on 14th of July, 1964. So again, not too far.
Yeah.
3 months-ish. She was found outside a residential property in, where was it? It's 48 Berrymead Road in Chiswick.
Do you know? Okay, so these last two are just being left on the road in Alleyville, right?
Yep.
So
not
no
like
longer,
not near the river.
They're not being dumped in the river or near the river. They're just.
Nope.
Are they being left where they're murdered, or is he still taking their bodies and moving them and dumping them elsewhere? Do we know that?
Well, it seems from later on when they do investigations that they believe that these girls were stored somewhere before they were left where they were left.
Oh, okay. All right.
Whereas the other women possibly could have been killed. I mean, there's strangulations. There's not as if there's lots of blood or anything like that you can tell. But subsequent investigation says that perhaps these girls, these ones from 5 onwards, I believe, possibly were stored somewhere before they were left where they were left. What the significance of 2 different locations being sort of residential, strange.
Yeah.
He's gone from like Towpath River, that area of Chiswick, to now being in an alleyway at the rear of a property in a residential area. It seems strange. Now, again, Mary Fleming, dark hair, clear skin, great eyebrows, looks very clean and tidy. Small lady. She was 30 years old, mother of 4. She was born in Scotland but grew up near Newcastle, so very up near the top of the country. She had turned to prostitution when her marriage fell apart. Her front teeth were also missing.
Oh.
She had been strangled, and again, her body was found unclothed. So it's kind of tying in all these different things. Now that's the second person or third person with no teeth missing. Second person with no teeth missing.
Okay.
Once again, paint spots were found on the body. So many neighbours in the area also say they heard a car reversing down the street just before the body was discovered. So when I was looking at this, I was thinking, okay, victims 1 to 4, so yeah, victims 1, 2, and 3, we've got no paint on any of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, the same with Irene Lockwood, no paint on her. So they've now got victim 5, paint spots, victim 6, paint spots. Okay, so that's 2 ladies now with paint spots on them and 2 ladies with their teeth missing. I wondered from this, could it be that he has, because they were found in different areas, has he used something to wrap them up in to take them? Whereas the first women were perhaps killed where they were and left where they were. These 2 have been moved to a different area. Is that why they've now got paint spots on them? Because he's using something
like a tarp,
like a tarpaulin or something like that has perhaps got, something that's in a work environment that would have these paint chips on it. And he's used it to wrap them up, to take them, to then just let them out.
Casey, you're referring to the teeth? Casey asked trophies. I'm assuming she's referring to the teeth.
I mean, possibly they could be trophies, but he only took them from 2 victims. The rest of the victims, the other 4 victims, he didn't take their teeth. I mean, I haven't got the post-mortem reports, but I wondered whether those 2 were slightly feistier and whether he used, like, smacked them to stop them. Could it be that they were slightly more, I mean, they were East Lothian and Scottish born. Could they be a bit feistier,
Yeah. Let's
being
see.
from up north?
That was okay. So it was which one was it? Was it Mary and Hannah who had the teeth missing? Was that who it was?
Mary had her teeth missing and Helen had her teeth missing. Did Hannah have her
Hannah
teeth
did.
missing? Let me
Yeah.
just check. Yeah, Hannah had her teeth missing. That's three with the teeth missing. Hmm.
Okay. So let's do this real quick. Let's kind of map this out. So
No, no, Hannah didn't have her teeth missing. She had her underwear in her mouth.
well, I'm seeing here she was strangled. Several of her teeth were missing, and her
Oh,
underwear
okay.
had been stuffed in her mouth. I don't.
Okay, so several
Actually,
teeth
that
are
is
missing on her.
so. Before we go on, let's do this. So we have Elizabeth Figg.
Hmm.
She was in Chiswick
Yep.
at Duke's
She was in
Meadow.
Chiswick, Duke's Meadow. Yep.
Okay.
She had all her teeth intact as far as I could see. She was naked and she did not have paint flecks on her, or she was in the water. So she may have had paint flecks on her, but did they leave because of the water? Possibly.
Okay. So then Gwyneth Reese was about a
Yep.
mile from Duke's Meadow.
Yep.
Um, we don't know exactly where.
She was found on
Oh,
refusal, the refuse disposal site, Town Mead
um,
Road, Mortlake.
Town Reed or
So
Town
she was 40
Reed.
yards from the Thames towpath, so only a mile from Duke's Meadows.
Oh wait, that's on the other side of the river.
Hmm.
Oh, so her body could have
Could have gone across.
could have gone across. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Hannah Telford was
Yep. She was in the
Hammersmith
Thames.
Bridge,
Yep.
which is okay. I see where that is. Okay, then you have Irene Lockwood,
Yep.
who was at what was that
Chiswick. She was at Chiswick,
Chiswick,
in the river, face down in the river again.
Comey. Is that Comey Reach?
Comey
Or
Reach.
Corny Reach? Oh, which is right, real close to Duke's Meadow. Okay.
Very close. Yep.
Helen
She
Bartholomew
was in the she was the first victim to
Brentford.
not be in the in that area.
Yeah, so she's a little farther west,
Yep.
and now we're at Mary Fleming, right?
Hmm.
And so now we're back at Chiswick, but not
Chiswick. Yep.
Chiswick, but not in
But
the
not near the
river.
river. She's in a residential street.
Oh, that's quite far from the river where that is. Okay. So she's like north of the what is that? Is that the M4? Is that considered the M4 down there? Great West Road.
Or they could have bitten him. Good thought, Amanda.
What's that?
They could have bitten him.
Oh yeah.
That's why he took their teeth out. That's a good thought, actually. Very good. I like that. Okay, so this brings us on to victim number 7, which is a lady called Margaret McGowan. She was discovered at the end of November 1964 in a car park in Hornton Street in Kensington. Now, Kensington is a very upmarket area of London. At the time, was party central, very high class area, very affluent. She had very short, I would say pixie-ish kind of dark hair, again, really clean looking. And she was discovered strangled, naked, and missing front teeth. Her skin was also covered in paint specks, just like the others. The difference with Margaret McGowan is that she was working as a sex worker under the alias Frances Brown.
Okay.
She worked her only high-end trade. So she was a very expensive sex worker. She was 21 years old. Her clients included businessmen, politicians, and I believe that she and one of the other victims, that higher class sex workers, were involved in some kind of legal something. There was some case that they were either witnesses in or they were involved in at some point that people thought this may have something to do with. but it has been discounted by police since. So I didn't bother writing the ins and outs of that because it has been discounted. But it was a fact that they were actually involved in some kind of scandal of some sort. She had last been seen alive on the 23rd of October by a colleague who saw her get into a client's car. Now, this colleague actually spoke to the police, and when her body was discovered a month later, the friend told the police what kind of car it was. It was a Ford Zephyr. I've never heard of a Ford Zephyr. I had to look into it. I've never heard of that car before, but apparently that's what it was. Now, this person gave a rough description of the man, and this was the biggest break in the case yet. So the description of this guy, let me just find the description because I actually wrote that down. Let me find it and I can give it to you. I forgot to upload that.
Oh, here, let me do this.
Let's just find you. So they, I don't know if I can actually give you a
I have the picture.
You've got the picture, but like he looks very strange, don't you think?
Yeah, just a bit.
He's a very weird looking guy with very prominent ears. I don't know if you can put that up in the chat. I don't know if you can do that. I don't think I can from my end, but he does look very similar to kind of that kind of combed over Cray-esque kind of that time, that time where the hair is slicked over.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of it's a good look for that kind of. The second, like, there's two pictures that they actually put out, and the second one is a bit like Martin Kemp, if any of you know who he is.
Make that a little bigger. Boop, 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 boop. There we go.
There we go. So Morgan can show you what he looks like.
Cherry, where was Roddy Cray at this time?
Right. Let's get to that in a minute.
No, is he gonna be one of them?
No, he's not. Reggie Cray wouldn't have done that.
How do you know?
Because I just do.
I've seen that movie with Tom Hardy.
It wasn't Reggie Cray. It wasn't.
Here, I'm gonna put him up over my head.
Over the top of you. Okay. Oh yes, I think you're right, Amanda. I think it was the Profumo scandal. I think you're right. Let me just get that up. I think it exactly was that. And I can just tell everybody what that is. So basically, it was a political scandal. And it was the British Secretary of War, John Profumo, resigned his post following revelations that he had lied in the House of Commons about his sexual affair with Christine Keeler, an alleged prostitute. So I'm sure it's got something to do with that. And I believe two of the ladies had stood up as witnesses or something within that. So you are indeed correct.
Look at me. I'm the Hammersmith killer.
Oh wait, I can't see you. Hang on. I can't see you like that. You've had too much tea. Right. So this brings us on to victim 8, our last victim. This is Bridget O'Hara. Now, I think looks a lot older than she was. She was 28 years old. She was a Irish immigrant. She was called Bridie O'Hara, but Bridget as her full name. She was found dead on the 16th of February, 1965 by an electrician near a storage shed behind the Heron Trading Estate in Acton. She'd been missing since January the 11th, and like most of the victims, had struggled to find her place in London and had turned to sex work to try and support herself. So Chief Superintendent John DeRose of Scotland Yard was called back to work during his holiday and put in charge of this case. Okay. Now, John DeRose instructed hundreds of officers. I mean, they had hundreds and hundreds of officers working on this, and they interviewed practically every single industrial estate worker in West London, including all 7,000 workers on the Heron Industrial Estate. He also had plainclothes officers patrolling the main roads leading in and out of central London at night. And what he did was ask them to record number plates of vehicles that they saw on multiple occasions going in and out of the different areas. So they did get this huge list of vehicles and number plates. However, none seemed to be, when they chased it up, none seemed to be of any significance.
Okay.
But Bridget O'Hara's body would be the one that would lead police to a massive discovery. Her body was slightly different to the other victims because her skin was burnt and it was slightly mummified, indicating that her body had been stored somewhere warm. A
Okay.
few yards from where her body was found, police found a lockup that had a transformer in it, which they believe had been on all the time and that had kept the body warm. And paint flecks that matched the paint on several of the victims' bodies was also found on this transformer.
Okay.
So police believe that this is where the killer had been storing these bodies. Opposite the lockup was a spray paint shop. When police went into the spray paint shop, the paint from that shop was found to match the paint on the transformer, on Bridget O'Hara, and on the other victims. So we know that the paint had come from that shop, that paint shop.
Okay. So who owns the shop?
So
Done.
you would think it would be
Solved.
that simple, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Now, in 1965, shortly after Bridget's body was found, the chief superintendent DeRose held a news conference. In this news conference, he falsely announced that the police has narrowed the suspect pool down to 20 men,
Okay.
and that by process of elimination, these suspects were being eliminated from the investigation. Again, a short time later, he went on again and announced that the suspect pool contained only 10 members. And then again, he did it and said they just had 3. Now, there were
good.
no further stripper killings following that first news conference. It stopped straight after the first one where he told them they'd got it down to 20 men. He just literally stopped. So, according to several sources, some of these victims were, like I said to you, were in the underground party scene.
Okay.
There's also speculation that a few of them had been appearing in pornographic films and that had been in those kind of circles. Several writers have speculated that the victims knew each other and that because of that, the killer may be somebody connected in that world. Okay. There isn't much said actually about the paint shop. I'm guessing that they must have, discounted everybody in there. They must have just, exonerated them all from their list because there's not much said about this paint shop and who worked there.
Okay.
So, I mean, to me, I would have thought paint shop, okay, this is where the paints come from. So then you need to go. I mean, we're talking about an era where there was no DNA, fingerprinting wasn't anywhere near as good as it is now. Forensics wasn't that great back then, and they didn't really think with the foresight that we think now because it's so easy for us to use technology for that kind of stuff. But there isn't actually a lot on this paint shop, so I'm guessing everybody was eliminated from inquiries.
How?
I know.
How?
I know.
That makes
Well,
no sense.
let me give you
someone who has access to this building or this shop is involved. It might not be one of the guys that you talk to specifically, but they probably know who did it.
Well, there must be people that have access to, like you say, have access to the shop. There can't be that many people that are allowed to just wander in and out.
And it sounds like these bodies are being stored here for a while. It's not
right opposite.
I mean, if a body's to the point of mummification, it's not like it's just sitting there overnight. It's there for
exactly.
a significant amount of time.
I mean, she went missing like a month before she was found. She was missing from 11th of January and she wasn't found until the 16th of February. So she was missing a whole month before they found her. Oh my dog's snoring really loud.
I just get this creepy suspicion, this creepy feeling that this wasn't just one person.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I feel like this could be like a group, not at least a group that are involved with it. Maybe it is just one person that's doing the killings or whatever. But I feel like this is something that there has to be like numerous people who who had firsthand knowledge of the murders and had something to do with them, one way or the
See,
other.
I think it was just one. I think it was just one guy chancing his luck because of the victim. You look at the victim type; they're all the same. He's obviously got a type. They're
Yeah,
all petite, which makes me think because they're all petite. Does that mean that he wasn't an entirely big man because he picked on smaller women that he could perhaps control?
maybe. Yeah.
That's why he's picked petite women. He's picked prostitutes because they are less likely to be asked after, less likely to be missed, easier, more vulnerable women in more vulnerable situations in an area that's not really policed because it's known for that kind of thing. So there's not that much police presence there
It's known for those
at the
things.
time.
It's known for those types of things, so we're not going to police there.
We're talking about the 60s. So, it's one of those we'll turn a blind eye and, because
Yeah,
sex workers don't really matter back then,
I suppose.
So we have some suspects. Okay. In fact, we have one, two, three, four, five suspects.
Ronnie.
Yeah. The first suspect is a guy called Kenneth Archibald.
Okay.
Now, Kenneth Archibald was a 57-year-old caretaker at the Holland Park Lawn Tennis Club in London. He walked into Notting Hill Police Station and voluntarily confessed on the 27th of April, 1964, to the murder of Irene Lockwood, the fourth victim.
Okay.
Police were astounded, couldn't believe their luck. This guy's gone in there, confessed to murdering her, but Archibald was arrested, charged with her murder, and stood trial at the Old Bailey in June of 1964. When they asked him to plead, he retracted the confession and pleaded not guilty. Okay. There was no evidence to link him to the crime whatsoever. Nothing.
So why would he?
Well, I wondered this, and I wondered if he was perhaps not of sound mind, and that's why he did it. I wondered if he was paid off to go and distract the investigation. Easily done. He hadn't been anywhere near any of the locations. He had no idea where the locations even were. He couldn't describe any of the other victims other than Irene Lockwood. And on the 23rd of June, 1964, he was found not guilty by a jury and was acquitted by Judge Justice Neild.
Okay. I just pulled up his picture here
Mm-hmm.
so everyone watching can see him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were to believe that the composite of someone who saw one of the victims get in a car,
Mm-hmm.
if that's the guy, Kenneth Archibald is not our guy.
No. I don't think he was. But why would he go and do that to just one of them?
No. Unless he was part of a group.
Possibly, unless it was part of a group.
I don't know.
There is that. So the second suspect was Mungo Ireland. Now, this is
Mungo, Ireland.
Mungo Ireland. Now, this is Chief Superintendent DeRose's most likely suspect. This is who he believed did it. Okay. He was a Scottish security guard and, excuse me, Chief Superintendent DeRose actually identified him in a BBC television interview in 1970. He was a respectable married man in his 40s. Excuse me, who Jerome codenamed Big John. I don't know why he codenamed him Big John because his name's Mungo. But anyway, he had apparently been identified as a suspect shortly after Bridget O'Hara was murdered, when the flecks of paint were found on the Heron trading estate, because he worked there as a security guard.
Okay.
So he had links to that area. Shortly after the connection was made, Mungo Ireland committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. He left a note for his wife, and the note read, "I can't stick it any longer," and finished with, "To save you and the police looking for me, I'll be in the garage." Now, he was seen as a strong suspect in the killings. Okay. And recent research, as in recently, as in a few years ago, suggests that Mungo Island was actually in Scotland when Bridget O'Hara was murdered. And therefore, they don't believe that he was the stripper.
Hmm. Okay.
But he's obviously committed suicide for a reason. Whether or not that's because he's done one of these murders or he's done all of the murders, I'm not sure. I wish my name was nearly that badass. If that was my name, I'd be mad if somebody downgraded it to Big John. You're so right, Samantha. Mungo Island is a pretty cool name. So yes, that's the thing. I believe, I think the same as Amanda. I believe Kenneth Archibald was paid to go in there and try and muddy up the investigation by whomever, because the police have got nothing on him. They're not going to convict him because there's no evidence whatsoever, although he was charged and convicted with the murder. So Mungo Island, then, the chief superintendent's most likely suspect, is now died. Doesn't actually say, let me just check and make sure. It just said that shortly after the connection was made, so shortly after 1970, he committed suicide. So they said that after the very first TV interview, the killing stopped. So he would be around the same sort of time. The next one.
So this would have been 5 years. Oh,
1970.
Okay. So
yeah.
After he was identified.
Yes.
He killed himself.
Yeah. Tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean he actually did do it. It's just the fact that he got identified and was maybe could have panicked and then thought, people are going to like me to this.
Yeah.
That's true. Amanda said, could he have been upset over the accusations leading to a breakdown? Or perhaps he could have known something and was bumped off and it was made to look like suicide. That's a really good point, actually, because carbon monoxide poisoning, it's quite an easy one to... I mean, they'd only have to knock him out and put him in the car, in the garage. That's how he died. He died of carbon monoxide poisoning. So I'm guessing that was a running car in the garage. Mm-hmm. Well, you'd only have to knock him unconscious, put him in the car. There you go. So that's quite a good point. So in 2001, reformed gangster Jimmy Tippett Jr. claimed that during research for his book about London's gangland, he had uncovered information suggesting that British light heavyweight boxing champion Freddie Mills was responsible for these murders. According to Tippett, the gangsters within that Cray era, wasn't the Crays, but within that era, including people like Charlie Richardson, Frankie Fraser, huge names in England gangster stories, they had long suspected Mills of being the murderer. He had previously been linked to the murders by Peter Neal, who was a freelance journalist from Balham in South London. And he told the police in 1972 he had received information in confidence from a serving chief inspector that Mills killed the prostitutes. He also said, and that's the actual quote, Mills had killed the prostitutes, the nude prostitutes. He also said it was common knowledge in the West End, and many people would say, oh yeah, Freddie did them in.
All right, we're done. Thank you.
So that, well, that's just local gangland, talkings. Mills was found shot dead in his car, apparently by suicide, in July 1965.
Oh, no.
So, can't be him.
Unless he was part of a group.
Possibly. I don't think it's a group. I don't think it's a group thing. I don't know. I don't think it is. I mean, our last victim, Bridget, was found in February 1965, right? And Mills died in July 1965 of suicide.
And when was the
1970?
The press conference where when did that happen? When the murder stopped after that?
That was a bit after 1965.
So was it before his suicide or after? Do we know?
It was shortly after Bridget's body was found. Bridget's body was found on the 16th of February. So it
Okay.
wasn't long
So,
after that. So
a
yeah,
few
February,
months
March
after.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. So both of them, both Freddie Mills and Mungo Island, both died by suicide in their cars. One shot dead,
Right.
one, carbon monoxide poisoning, both in 1965.
Okay.
Okay, the next one, a mystery Metropolitan Police officer. There's some speculation, okay, that a former Metropolitan Police detective was a suspect in the case. Now, this was only the opinion of several senior detectives investigating the case. The reason that I bring this one up is because a journalist for the Sun newspaper had raised suspicion about this unnamed officer in a series of articles that were published in the newspaper in 1972. The only thing is, when I was reading through this, there's not much evidence that actually supports it. So although you've got this hearsay that a mystery Metropolitan Police officer was involved, there's not a lot really. There's not a lot of motive to say why. It doesn't name the person. It doesn't really give you a lot of, but he is one of the official suspects, this mystery officer. But I don't put much weight to that.
Suspect? No, get out of
Yeah.
here. Where's Colin Sutton when this happened?
Exactly. Where was Colin Sutton? He would have solved this. What
Or
the
he
weird?
did
You
it.
should. No, he didn't do it. The funny thing you should say is that I will talk to you. Do you remember Jackie Moulton, who is a female detective that was at CrimeCon, and Nancy did her book. I think it was called The Governor, I think, or something. It may not be The Governor, but one of Nancy's book clubs was Jackie Moulton's book.
Yeah,
and she talks about how being a woman in that detective era, how she did it, and how hard it was. So in January 2019. There was a 90-minute documentary called Dark Sun. And this was called The Hunt for a Serial Killer. This was broadcast on BBC Two. They had the criminologist, Professor David Wilson, really famous in this country. He had his own investigative team, which was including Jackie Moulton and forensic psychologist, Professor Mike Berry. And they used police techniques now, such as geographic profiling, offender profiling, to see if the crimes of the next suspect can be measured against those of the London killer. And there are a lot of similarities. So this final person is the one that most people believe is the real Jack the Stripper. This is a guy called Harold Jones. Okay. Crime and Investigation Channel have a TV program called Murder Casebook, which is fronted by Fred Dinenage. Again, another famous person in England. They put forward a theory in 2011 that the killer could have been Harold Jones. He was a convicted murderer from Wales. He also called himself Harry Stevens. So if you're reading up on this case, you might see Harry Stevens around quite a bit. And then you've got Harold Jones. They're the same person. In 1921, he killed 2 girls at his hometown of Abertillery. I'm hoping I've said that right. Sorry if any of you are Welsh. He was 15 at the time that he killed these 2 girls. Okay. So he wasn't liable for the death penalty. Instead, he received a life sentence. He was sent to Wandsworth Prison in 1941 at the age of 35. He was released. Okay. So he got out of prison, sentenced at 15, got out at 35 for exemplary behaviour. I don't like it when they do that, because I don't ever trust. The criminals are in prison because they've done wrong stuff. Okay. So this whole exemplary behaviour business, that doesn't wash with me. In 1947, he was living in Fulham in London. Okay. The Stripper murders had similar features to his 2 early murders. No sexual assault, but extreme violence inflicted on the victims. Okay. Unfortunately, due to poor record keeping, he was never considered as a possible suspect by the police. Even though he was in the area, he had form, the crimes were really similar. He was in prison, released into Fulham in London. So was 35, roughly around the same sort of age as these women, or a little bit older. So, strong, prime of his life. But he died in Hammersmith in 1971. Scotland Yard's Serious Crime Review Group reinvestigated the Hammersmith murders between 2006 and 2007. Okay. This resulted in a new conclusion. The statement, and I quote, The circumstantial evidence against Mungo Island is very strong, and it was the view of the officers conducting the most recent review of this case that he was the most likely to be responsible. Although Mungo Island's work records indicated he was in Scotland on the night of O'Hara's disappearance, Scotland Yard believe it is possible that these results may have been falsified. So, right at the very beginning, Chief Superintendent DeRose liked Mungo Island for this. And when the Scotland Yard Serious Crime Review Group re-investigated this between 2006 and 2007, they also liked Mungo Island for this. But
Really?
when we had the criminologist, the former detective, and the forensic psychologist using nowadays techniques, they really liked
Harold
Jones for it.
Okay.
Amanda's just said, he looks a bit like the photo fit. It's them ears.
Harold Jones? Yeah.
So what do you reckon? What do you think? Who would you most, looking at what we've been given and thinking about what the forensic psychologist, the criminologist, the former detective, the serious crime review group, what do you think? One person? Many people? What do you reckon? You still thinking group?
I think, okay. I have a feeling that it's at least two different people.
Mm-hmm.
These murders, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Frances Brown kind of throws me for a loop a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of where she's found in Kensington.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that's where she's picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get the composite sketch from, right?
Yeah. And the car. Yeah.
And the car. The composite sketch. I mean,
it could be a lot of men at that time, though.
Yeah, exactly. There's none of these men really stand out to me as being a guy who come across as being like high class. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe she might be someone different. She might have been murdered by someone different. And there was no specs, right? She didn't have any paint specs on the body, right?
Who was this one? Which one? Who had no specs? Frances.
Brown,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can assume Bridget O'Hara.
She did have paint specs, and she had missing front teeth.
Mary Fleming.
Mm-hmm.
Did
you hear me? Frances did have paint specs.
Oh, she did have paint specs.
Frances did. Yeah.
Well, that kind of throws everything. Okay, so paint specs. Paint specs were definitely Mary Fleming. You said Frances Brown, Bridget O'Hara, and Helen Bartholomew.
Yeah.
So then those have to all be the same person then, right?
Mm-hmm. Double J, Kenneth confessed to murdering Irene Lockwood. She was victim number 4. That's who he confessed to murdering.
But he didn't.
The only blonde one.
What did Harold Jones do for a living? Do we know?
No, it didn't. I don't actually know what he did. I know that he was living in Fulham. It doesn't actually say what. I couldn't find what he did for a living.
So he killed 2 pre-adolescent girls in Wales in 1921.
2 young girls in Wales. Yeah. Went to Wandsworth Prison and then was released at the age of 35 in 1941. So between 1941 and 1947, so 6 years, he was then living in London. I don't think it was Harold Jones. In fact, I don't think it was any of these people.
Really?
Mm. But I think Mungo Island was involved. I think, looking through what I've read and what I've found, I think Mungo Island was the dog's body. I think Mungo Island was perhaps the guy that he was a security guard. Okay. So he's used to using force. He's used to that kind of, I mean, security guards generally are supposed to be intimidating. They're generally supposed to be prepared to fight and protect, whatever it is that they're security guarding. Okay. I think Mungo Island was definitely involved in these murders. Whether he actually committed the murders himself, I think it's very likely, but I think it was for somebody else. Hence the teeth being knocked out, the violence, no sexual assault that we can find on these women,
Yeah.
And the fact that they were nude, partially nude, could that be because of the paint that he's seen? There's more paint on them than should have been. Could it be that? And that's why not all of them were nude. And then by the time these other paint specks are found, it's too late because the first one's been found. Or I think he's definitely involved. I think Mungo either is a henchman for someone. I don't think he's killing for his own personal gratification. I don't think. I think he's somebody's dog's body. I think he's paid or instructed to carry out these for whatever reason.
So it's a group.
Possibly. I mean, Amanda's just come up with a good idea. The unnamed police officer and Mungo Island. Interesting. Exactly. Could it be that the unknown police officer was the one that was a client of theirs? Was he being blackmailed? And so he's got something on Mungo Island and he's like, well, you can sort it out for me. I just think, looking at what I've seen and the fact that he writes a letter to his wife and commits suicide saying he's sick of this, I wonder if he's under pressure from somebody. I'm sick of this. That's not the sort of thing you would write if you're sick of killing people, or it would be like, I'm ashamed, I shouldn't have done it, that kind of thing. The language that he uses, I'm sick of this, means that it sounds to me like the guy is under some sort of pressure, or he's under some sort of duress. He's sick of it. He's had enough. Could that be?
I'm kind of with you. I'm not really. I don't like really any of these suspects. Like, there's not one that stands out saying, "Oh, absolutely," right?
I think Mungo, because he works at that he works in the area. So he's got access to the site. He's a security guard. Nobody is going to double watch him walking around the site. He's the security guard. Who's going to suspect him? They're going to be used to seeing him there. They're going to take no notice of what he's doing in and around buildings. So I like him most likely of having something to do with these murders.
Yeah.
Whether he's just disposing of them or holding them for somebody because he has the means to do that, because he's got access to the area. Is he just holding them there for somebody else? Possibly. But he's obviously under some kind of duress. When you read through the suicide note, what is he sick of?
He's sick of call me Big John. My name is Mongo. From Mungo Ireland.
It's not Big John. I don't know. Big John doesn't sound too bad. What's wrong with that, Big John?
Okay, let me see. Kensington's the outlier in all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So strange. Like, why? Because
could it be that was where she just happened to be? Is there a reason why these women could be all connected through something else? Perhaps with this whole underground something, they're all known. Could they have been known to each other? And it just so happened that she was the prostitute or the sex worker that worked in Kensington.
So they have to drop them in.
Yeah. Or they had to pick her up and they've dropped her there for whatever reason.
But obviously they took her back to Acton if she had the paint specs on her, right?
Well, yeah, or she was.
Or they was in the back of a lorry.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. A vehicle.
Huh.
This is such an interesting case, isn't it? So many victims, so much evidence, so many different, things. I think this is one of those cases that you need one of those big boards, where you can pin things up so you can actually physically see what the correlations are. I think it's one of those cases where you need to actually physically look what the evidence was, link them together so that you can see that these are similar, because I definitely like Mungo Island for being involved in this 100%.
God damn it, Mungo.
God damn you, Big John.
Mungo. I don't know.
He's making me sing the Jimmy Dean song, Big Bear John. Samantha says that's exactly it, Morgan. Well, see, Amanda said Mungo could be mistaken for a police officer in the dark. That's true. So this unknown Metropolitan Police officer could have actually been a security guard.
Yeah. Oh, and I did find out that Harold Jones? Was that the one about?
Harold, yeah.
Well, when he died in 1971, he was a night watchman as well.
So again, another kind of uniformed person.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'd be curious to see if any of these guys had connections to each other. Like, did Freddie Mills have a connection with Mungo?
Well, possibly, because Freddie Mills
and Mungo sound like two guys that would be hanging out having a pint together,
Well, Freddie Mills was quite a famous boxer back then. So he would have been connected with that kind of underworld, gangster kind of underworld, because they always were back in those days. So I'd like to know, was Mungo in anyone's pocket for something,
Reggie Cray.
No, it's not Reggie Cray. You can't blame Reggie Cray for everything.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
I watched the movie.
He was the better of the two brothers.
Oh, he was. Ronnie was the one that was a little off the rocker, right?
Yeah. Ronnie was the one that had psychological issues. Well, I think they both had psychological issues, but Ronnie more so. Ronnie made the mess. Reggie cleaned it up.
There's your answer.
It was Ron. No, it wasn't anything to do with the craze. It's nothing to do with them.
There's one other area.
Although
this wasn't their area, right?
No,
they were like East London, right?
They're East, yeah. But saying that, they had clubs up west. They would have had staff up west.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't think so. I think that there's a reason these girls have been targeted. They all look the same. So I wondered whether maybe one of the women or maybe one girl had done something. Okay. All they knew is what this girl looked like. So are they slowly knocking off girls that look the same as this because they don't know actually who the actual girl was? But one of this girl has got information that she shouldn't have. And perhaps that's why they've gone for the same kind of girl. And that's why these girls have been knocked off one by one until they got the right one. Or it seems strange that they're all the same looking. Yeah. There's definitely a type. Definitely. The only one that isn't was Ireland. She's the only one.
They were all strangled, right?
Pretty much. No, there's no signs of blunt force trauma that I could see.
Except for the
all
teeth.
Strangulation. Well, yeah, but only in the teeth. I mean like in the head and stuff. There's nothing.
Wonder if the teeth were pulled or if they were knocked out with like.
I don't know. I couldn't say. Couldn't find the autopsy reports, which is a shame because I'd be very interested to see. But Elizabeth is the only one whose picture we've got of her on the mortuary table, and she has no facial, nothing. The picture of her is nothing. She looks beautiful. She's got no, she doesn't look like she's been punched in the face or, I mean, you can't see her neck. I think obviously they've covered her neck because she was strangled. And obviously due to upsetting her family.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's like no.
She looks very peaceful.
Maybe one bruise like by her like eyebrow.
But she doesn't look like she's been punched in the mouth, does she? Doesn't.
No.
But I don't know. It's an interesting case, huh?
I could pull up Elizabeth's pictures if people want to see it.
Yes, yeah. Amanda, there was a link to porn films. Yes. And Freddie Mills does look like that sketch. You're right. Freddie Mills is very similar to the sketch. I thought that. It's the ears. They're quite prominent.
It's so funny. You look at that sketch and it's like That's what a guy from England in the 1960s looked like. You know
No,
what I
they
mean?
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, the hair does. I think the hair does. I think, yeah, you're right. It is that kind of, I could imagine them in a nice, tidy suit, crisp and clean. That's the kind of look that they used to have. That kind of man about town look.
Who's this guy?
And yes, there was a link to perhaps to pornographic films, that kind of sex work, that underground kind of stuff. Yeah. So I do think that perhaps that's got something. There's definitely something in it for me. I can't get the fact that they all look the same. There's something about, there's a reason. There's a reason that whoever this is has gone for that look, because they do. They all look the same.
I don't know.
I'm gonna see if I can just send you the
I have a picture of
Hammersmiths.
I have a picture of all the here. Okay, here's all.
Oh,
the
do you? I was
pictures.
going to say, yeah, I was going to say if you could put the picture of all of them up, and then you can see them all together. They all look really similar.
Except for
The
the
only
blonde,
one that,
yeah,
just the blonde lady.
who's
She's the only one that
obviously
looks different.
she dyed her hair, obviously.
Yeah, she obviously wasn't always dark. And did she dye her hair for a reason? Were they looking for a dark-haired girl, and she's suddenly gone, shit, they're looking for me. I'm gonna go blonde.
So here's
That seems
Elizabeth Fig,
interesting to me.
and she's in the bottom. Okay, Elizabeth Fig is the bottom right corner. Yeah, it looks like there's one bruise. She has one bruise like, in her eye.
But not like massively.
No.
She's not massively, beaten. Interesting.
Yeah, they are very similar, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. I think so. And it's just I can't get it. There's a reason. I don't know what it is, but there's a reason that they all look the same. There's got to be something. The reason that those women were picked and why they all look really similar. Similar height, similar stature, similar facial features. Exactly the same hair color, all of them, bar one. But you can tell by her eyebrows she's not a natural blonde. So it seems strange. And she was killed. She was killed. She was the fourth victim, Irene Lockwood. I would have been more interested if it had stopped there.
Oh, and she was found
if they had stopped
by where Elizabeth Fig was found.
Yeah, really, really close. It's crazy, isn't it? Okay, so we've got some theories coming in. Amanda, it could be that they were all involved in this, and maybe the police officer could have been the ringleader. He got spooked and bumped off the other people to protect himself. Interesting. I wonder if all the suspects named could have been involved in the porn ring. Maybe the ringleader is the policeman. That's also true.
Yeah.
That's also true.
I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting that the different professionals have come up with different theories. The Scotland Yard Serious Crime Review Group reinvestigated in 2006, and they've said that they believe Mungo Island, the evidence against him is quite strong. They believe that it's him. And then in 2019, the criminologist and the detective and the criminal forensic psychologist have all said that they think Harold Jones is the most likely suspect.
Here's the thing, though, because if you have someone that you think, okay, if we were to do this and say, let's make a profile of all these potential suspects, right?
Yep.
We can make a profile that could make any of these guys look like the prime suspect.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because we can go and we can say, well, first off, you can't look past the fact that Mungo had a direct connection to this Acton location, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you could easily, as a starting point, you can go
Mhm.
and you can create a profile which points directly to him.
But I think he's the most likely,
No, I
purely
agree.
because purely because of all the things pointing there. He had access to the area. He was in a uniform. So this whole,
Mm,
police person that they think was involved, could that be that he was, like somebody else said, could it be that he was mistaken for that? Yeah, that's quite likely. He's got paint. He literally works on the industrial estate where there's the paint shop. Right
right.
opposite is where they're being stored. Um, he commits suicide, leaving a note saying, "I'm sick of all this." I think out of
Yeah.
all of them and out of all the evidence they've got, Mungo, the evidence against him is the strongest.
I mean, Harold died in 1971, and I believe
Mm-hmm.
it was bone cancer.
Right. The other guy, Freddie Mills, killed himself. Well, apparent suicide, shot in a car.
Yeah.
So,
Who knows what that's about? He
okay,
could have owed money for all we know.
exactly. And to be honest, I think the whole Harold Stevens or Harold Jones business. I think okay, why him? Where's the evidence that he had anything to do with the estate where the paint was found? Why? I'd like to know what exactly. I'm gonna have to watch that TV program because I want to know why they've connected him to that because it doesn't actually say in all the stuff that I was reading why, other than his early murders when he was 15 were similar of these women. So I'm not sure that's exactly enough. I don't think it's enough.
Hmm.
So my money and my time would be spent on Mungo.
This is a frustrating one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's more frustrating because there's no answer I can give you. This is one of those ones I'd really like to do a deep dive into. I'd like to go and do my own investigation. I might speak to Jackie about this actually. I might have a word
Mm-hmm.
with her about it and see. I would love to speak to her and have her possibly come on to another Patreon episode to tell
Oh,
us
that'd be so
why she
good.
thought he was the one. I'll give her a message tomorrow and see if we could get her on to do another
Yeah.
one with us all again.
Like we all know Mungo did it.
Yeah. You're just a former detective. What do you know?
What do you know? So I'm
She's
gonna
going to
say
go, right.
so.
Here we
Kenneth
go.
confessed to the murder of the lady with the dyed blonde hair.
Yes. Yes. He did. He confessed to killing Irene Lockwood, which was victim number 4, the only blonde
Oh,
one.
hi Valentina.
Hi. Oh, bless her. She's watching. She's really passionate about figuring out this case. Merry Christmas, little Valentina. It's always the murderer's mum. Why they pick the same woman? Yeah, what did all the suspects' mums look like? Interesting. Because a lot of men do murder, don't they? Similar to their mother experiences. So I wonder if
Mm-hmm.
any of them have got like a 5 foot angry mum with dark hair and good eyebrows. So yeah, that is our case for today. And if you're
Amazing.
in England, I'm surprised you're still with us because it's 20 to 1 in the morning. So I'm surprised you're still here. Well done, you, for sticking with us.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me do that this week. It was fun. So
I,
next week we've got no case because it's New
mm-mm.
Year's Day is when we usually do our cases. So there'll be no case next week. So you can all have a break from us for a week. And then we'll be back again Tuesday the 10th.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah, sounds about
Something
right.
like that. Yeah, about the 10th, I think. Our next case will be out, and that will be Morgan's case. So
I
it'll
kind of
be
feel like we need to do a
a new
dumb
one.
criminal. What do you think?
You can do a dumb criminal if you want. Have you got one? Have you got a list of one?
Mm, yeah, I can find one real quick.
That'd be fun.
Oh, some of these are crap.
And that sounds to me maybe he did that to throw police off the case. It seems odd. Oh, she's waving at the screen. Hi, hi, sweetheart.
Hi.
Oh, thank you for a great Samantha. Funny, just talking about that. The last time we did a live was when after the live you told us you're expecting Valentina, and we found out, didn't we? Do you remember that was on one of our lives? And Samantha came on and told us, and we were the only people that knew. Exciting. Anybody else wants to confess any pregnancies? We'll be very excited and be with you all the way along, like we were with Samantha. Oh, thank you. That was a great case. You're very welcome. It was an interesting case, not one I've heard actually anywhere else. So I was quite interested to look through this one, totally by accident as well. That's Morgan's concentrating face.
I'm so concentrating so hard. There's so many good ones.
Is there a Christmas dumb criminal? I'm sure there is. Oh, we did a Christmas one last week, didn't we? Where they gave away the cannabis wrapped in Christmas presents. That was a fun one.
How about, let me see if I can find a New Year's Eve one.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh no. Miss Maisie's fallen asleep while watching Crimepedia's Christmas special and is snoring. Funny you should say that, because my dog is also, you can't actually see him, but he's on his back with his legs in the air on the floor, and he is also snoring. I'm surprised you can't hear him, to be honest. Yeah. So funny.
Oh my God. So stupid.
Concentration or constipation.
Hey.
So your constipation face.
Hey.
We'll definitely do this again, Amanda. We'll do another one. We'll do another one. We try and do it so that we've got it's decent times for both England and America, which is really difficult. Because it's usually halfway through the day. Maybe we'll do one on a Sunday when no one's at work. Perhaps we'll do one of our Sunday night ones or something. So it's about 5, 6 o'clock here, and 1, 2 o'clock on a Sunday over there. So we might be able to get people to join in.
All right, no New Year's Eve one because it's gonna take too long. How about this? Right, for this one we're gonna go to West Virginia.
Okay.
A West Virginia homeowner was busted for drugs after snitching on herself with a sign on her front door. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So a woman, her name was April Lynn Lavender of West Virginia. She was 38 years old. She was a 38-year-old homeowner that was busted for drugs after she snitched on herself with a sign on her front door. According to a Facebook post from the Fayette County Sheriff's Department, 2 women in Oak Hill, West Virginia, were arrested last week after police looked into a complaint of joyriding. Okay, Chrissy Weiss, a 22-year-old from Kincaid, West Virginia, was busted only for the joyriding offense, but the other woman, Lavender, didn't get off so easy. While at the residence investigating the alleged joyriding, deputies reportedly noticed a sign on the homeowner's front door that led the deputies to conclude that drugs were most likely being sold from this residence. Okay? So apparently the sign on it was, right on the front door, says, "Due to snitches, everyone entering my home is subject to being searched. All cell phones and drinks will be left outside. If you're not a snitch, it won't offend you if I search you." So because of this sign, they decided, yeah, this is probably a woman that's selling drugs at her house. So obviously the deputies got around to asking some questions. Once they put an end to the joyriding, after questioning 2 women, the deputies reportedly got consent to search the residence. That's where the deputies were able to find large quantities of both heroin and methamphetamine, as well as various unknown substances that were believed to be narcotics.
Oh no.
So yeah.
But police couldn't believe their luck. They've gone in there on a joyriding charge and ended up coming out with huge amounts of bad drugs. They were laughing.
So, homie, you just snitched on yourself, girl.
Bad, dumb criminal. To be fair, most criminals are dumb. There's not very many that actually get away with it, is there? Most of them are actually stupid.
Well, we just had one where he murdered 5, 6 people. He got away with it.
He got away with it. Yeah, he got away with it. So. Or did he?
Dun, dun, dun.
Did he end his life because he just couldn't take it anymore?
That was
talking about you, Big John.
Good. I'm so frustrated.
I know. Sorry. Well, happy new year. Start the year as I mean to go on. Old cases, frustrating cases, unsolved cases.
Man. So yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We have
Thank
loved
you.
having you guys. It's been lovely to have you given us your input on the case as we go along. It's been really fun for us, actually. So, have an amazing new year. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for being Patreons. We totally are in awe that you guys actually support us and our little show. We absolutely love you guys. You're amazing. And we thank you very, very much. And we will be seeing you back in 2023
with one of my episodes, which I don't know what I'm doing yet, but don't tell anyone.
Have a great new year, and we will see you on our socials. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for sticking around with my terrible voice. Hopefully it comes back.
Hopefully it comes back. Otherwise, you're just going to type your answers in and I'm going to have to read them. So for now, be nice.